Hello and welcome to the OCVarsity Gridiron Show. I'm your host, Jonathan Khamis. To my left is Dan Albano. To my right is Steve Fryer. This is our semifinals preview edition, and we will start it off with the Pac-5, where we have only one Orange County team remaining, and that's the #1 team in the county this week, guys. That's Mater Dei. They're playing an old foe, an old rival in Centennial. And Centennial, they're as good as anybody around in the state, in the country, you name it. Mater Dei and Centennial have a history too, guys. Actually, Mater Dei and Centennial played twice last year. Mater Dei beat Centennial in week 0, but the last game of the season, the one that matters, Centennial knocked off Mater Dei. So maybe a little bit of revenge for Mater Dei coming into this game. But, man, it's going to be tough against the Huskies over there.
Yeah, it's going to be real tough. I mean, it doesn't get any tougher. I mean, this is a lot like Mater Dei when they played St. John Bosco, and that was a really tough game for Mater Dei against St. John Bosco, and the Huskies are right up there with them. So, you know, one of the things that makes Centennial much even tougher than last year is because their defense is probably much improved from last year. So it's going to be a real big test again for freshman quarterback JT Daniels, who's playing so well for Mater Dei. You know, he's really progressing and playing unbelievable for a freshman. So I think Centennial is going to win, but I think this is a really important game for the young players at Mater Dei. You know, this is where they can play well. This is where championship games, championships later down the years from now can be won.
I think JT Daniels has answered that question, how he's going to play in the playoffs. He's playing really well. But don't forget about Curtis Robinson, who ran in the 2-point conversion to beat Sarah. That was pretty exciting for the Monarchs, Steve. Dan mentioned it. They had trouble against St. John Bosco, a super elite team. Yeah. Centennial's another super elite team. How do you see this one shaking?
Well, it's all about how those young players come through, isn't that right, Dan? You know, they have so many juniors and sophomores in the starting slots on Mater Dei's football team, and so far so good. And I think they've had 2 wins. The big blowout win over Lakewood in the first round, and then this tight end of the game sort of thing against Sarah Gardena. So they show they can win it either way. Anybody who's looking at this game's got to be thinking Centennial favored by quite a bit. They are really that good.
Yeah, they're scary. We'll transition now to the West Valley Division, where we have an undefeated team in Mission Viejo, and some say a team that should be #1, but that's a topic for the OCVarsity Gridiron Show, extra show. Tease, tease. All right, Mission Viejo 12-0, taking on 10-2 Chino Hills. Last week, guys, Mission Viejo beat Murrieta Valley 42-21. Isaiah Miller, 2 touchdowns. Colin Schooler, 2 touchdown runs. Chino Hills, what have they done? They're 10-2. Their 2 losses are to an Orange County powerhouse and Jay Sarah, and they also lost to Bishop Amat. How do you see them going into this one?
Well, I think the Diablos are rolling. I think they're going to win this game and get back to a second straight West Valley final. Chino Hills is a team that doesn't have a lot of superstars, a lot of D1 guys, but they're a really fundamentally sound team. They run the ball well, so but I still think the Diablos will win.
Yeah, Diablos have a lot of D1 guys, and it looks like I don't know. I mean, it looks like the West Valley division is theirs.
Yeah, it does. It's theirs to lose. I think they're the best team in the division. In that other semifinal, it's pretty intriguing, guys. You got Rancho Cucamonga, which beat Edison in the first round and then beat Tesoro, scored 53 on Tesoro last week, beat them by, 25 points. Holy mackerel. Rancho Cucamonga, #3 team out of the baseline league. They got to play Vista Murrieta. I think we all looked at Vista Murrieta and Mission Viejo getting to the final. Mission Viejo still is the class of the division, but I've got my eye on that other semifinal too with Rancho Cucamonga and Vista Murrieta. That intrigues me.
We're going to the Southwest Division now, and I think 2 games of the week in this division. I love this division. Villa Park at La Habra, and we have Buena Park at San Clemente. We'll start off with Villa Park and La Habra. Steve, we saw Villa Park defeat Valencia last week, and that was where they beat them 28-15. Quarterback Nick Sipe and Ramon Chavez each had 2 touchdowns apiece. Your overall thoughts on the Spartans taking on a team that's pretty much been in our top 10 all year in La Habra, who's as good as anybody? That's the second time I've seen Villa Park play, was last week where you and I were at. Much better than the previous time I saw them, which was against Elmo. They played a complete game. La Habra might have a couple more playmakers than Villa Park. So that's why I like with that one. And you're right, both semifinals are very intriguing. San Clemente, Buena Park, where Dan's going to be on Friday. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I tell you what, because Buena Park, as we've seen, we always talked about that speed they have. They sure unveiled it last week with Bynum and company. And then, for San Clemente, I think Jack Sears has been sort of like an overlooked quarterback in Orange County football, and they keep winning games.
You know, we've all thought, well, at least I did, you know, San Clemente and La Habra in the final. It's sure shaping up that way, but both of them got really good challenges coming up.
Dan, I'll ask for your thoughts on both games, but I'll throw a couple stats at you first. Eric Berry had 3 touchdowns in a victory against Laguna Hills, 42-14, and on the other side, Buena Park, San Clemente and Sonora, guys, 52-45. Yeah. How incredible was that? The Tritons gave up 220 yards to Jacob Fimbres, who's awesome. And San Clemente had 500 total yards of offense. Do you see them putting up that many points again this week?
I could see it getting a little high scoring down there in San Clemente. San Clemente is going to be tough to stop, and though I was, I was equally impressed with the speed of Buena Park on offense and defense. The Buena Park speed is unbelievable, guys, and I think they're a potential top 10 team in Orange County. Buena Park, they're in the finals, semifinals for the 2nd straight year, so they're really going to try to make that next step and try to make it an all-freeway league final. Because I think La Habra, you know, it's been a while since La Habra's been in the finals, fellas. They should be hungry. This game is at La Habra. Eric Berrier, I think he's going to be a difference maker in that game. We could be, you know, I don't know, this would be like a little bit of OCVarsity Armageddon. If you got all freeway league Southwest final, I mean, that would be unbelievable. But
what about San Clemente running the freeway league gamut, defeating Buena Park and La Habra? It's a freeway league championship.
Yeah, I mean, I think
we'll see.
All the yards that San Clemente gave up last week, that's a little bit of a red flag for me. Going into a game where I think Buena Park's more explosive.
All right, guys. Southern Division, we have Brea Olinda at 7-5. Here they are in the semifinals, taking on Garden Grove 10-2. How impressive was Jordan Antonez last week? 376 yards rushing. That's a school record. Schools have been around a while, so that's pretty impressive. 2 touchdowns. Meanwhile, Brea beats Godinez 49-28. Your overall impressions for this one? Garden Grove is rolling, though.
Yeah, they are. Antonez was outstanding, you know, and that's been their bread and butter over there generally at Garden Grove as they run the ball. They pound it pretty good, and they play really well on defense. So that looks like the ticket for them, too. Gosh, Brea Olinda, you know, they had a couple running backs, Martinson and another starter were out. Yeah. Went to like your 3rd and 4th string guys, didn't miss a beat. Brea kept running the ball, looked pretty good there. Coach Rob Parents was saying, you know, it's next man up football, and they definitely did that. You know, that other semifinal looks pretty cool, too, with El Medina and Canyon, a rematch, both teams out of that North Hills League. We thought that the North Hills League was the best league in that division, and dang it, here they are. You've got 3 of the 4 teams in that league, are in the semis for the 2nd year in a row, like Dan's saying. So, looks really good. I mean, I like El Medina, you know, again in this game. Canyon has impressed me. Harmon's a really good quarterback, but El Medina, they just keep finding ways.
Harmon 6 total touchdowns last week.
Classic.
In a victory against Catella, the OCVarsity Gridiron jinx strikes again, guys. Catella. Yeah, it was a sword. Canyon beat Catella 61-21. Meanwhile, El Medina beat Segerstrom last week 47-27. Dan, your thoughts on the Southern Division semis?
Well, I thought last week I was saying, I mean, I really like this Canyon team, and they're going for revenge on an earlier loss against El Medina. I think Comanches are playing super inspired. They are a scary team right now. They looked the most impressive, I think, last week of any of the teams. So I think Canyon's going to get through. And, you know, I think Brea's got some revenge factor going with Garden Grove, who, you know, had a little closer score than I thought than against Valley. Though, people thought Valley was, you know, quite improved by the end of the year. But I think it's looking like perhaps a Garden Grove Canyon final.
Finally, our last division is East Valley. 2 games on the docket. I'll throw to you guys, see what you guys think. 11-1 Brethren Christian. They're from Huntington Beach. They take on Grace Brethren, 12-0. 9-3 Korean Lutheran taking on Saddleback Valley Christian, 12-0. One of our undefeated teams. Steve, the semis. What's up, East Valley?
Well, I'm very disappointed in Saddleback Valley Christian. Only 28 points in that win. What's with you guys over there? You average 50 points a game. What happened?
You were expecting a lot of fireworks
What
last
happened
week.
to you guys, man? But, hey, you got to get the win how you get the win. So that's a great matchup then with Korean Lutheran. And we've said a lot this year and written it a lot this year that this is the best small schools football we've had in Orange County ever. And you got Brethren going against Grace Brethren. Let me tell you something about Grace Brethren. You know, they're undefeated. Everybody who's, you know, keeps an eye on that sort of thing and knows about Grace Brethren said that was the team to beat. So Brethren Christians really got a tough challenge against Grace Brethren, a really talented football team.
I consider you both my brethren, so I don't know Dan, your final thoughts on East Valley.
Well, I did some of my homework today on Saddleback Valley Christian, the Warriors' first-year coach, Brennan Chambers. Yeah. And, you know, one of the big notes this week, in that game against against Crean Lutheran is going to be played at San Juan Hills on Friday, 7 o'clock kickoff. The Saddleback Valley quarterback, Cage Henjum, who's an outstanding junior, he actually got a leg injury in that game, played through the leg injury, but was going to be examined today. And, you consider him questionable right now for that really big game against Crean Lutheran. Interesting, Saddleback Valley Christian's already beaten Crean like about 40-21 very early in the season, September 3rd game. So got to watch the status of that SVC quarterback. If he is out and he's thrown for over 30 touchdowns, that's going to put a lot of pressure on SVC as the favorite in that game. So watch out for that one. It could be an interesting game.
Yep, should be. All right, thanks to Dan Albano. Thanks to Steve Fryer. That's it for the OCVarsity Gridiron Show. I'm your host, Jonathan Khamis. And for all your latest football playoff updates this weekend, check out OCVarsity.com, where we've got you covered.